9941. That is the number. 941 protected individual profiles buried inside Jeffrey Epstein's sealed files at the Department of Justice. Not released, not reviewed, protected. And when Congressman Jamie Raskin walked into that hearing room, he was carrying one document that was about to end two careers at the same time. Room 254 of the Rayburn House office building. The hearing was listed as routine budget oversight. Routine. That word will sound different by the end of this video. Kash Patel arrived with 4 lawyers and color-tabbed binders. Pam Bondi sat 3 chairs away in a charcoal blazer, her lead attorney close enough to whisper. Neither of them knew what was coming. Raskin had been waiting through 93 minutes of budget questions, standard back and forth, procurement protocols, agency coordination. Bondi checked her phone once. Patel looked almost bored. This part of the hearing was never replayed on cable news. Then Raskin took the microphone and the room changed. Congressman Raskin removed a single sheet from his folder and held it up. This document is a court filing from the Southern District of New York. It references 2,847 Epstein files held under court seal at the Department of Justice. He paused. Director Patel, are you aware these files exist? Patel's response came smooth and easy. Congressman, our processes for sealed materials follow established FBI protocols. Raskin shook his head once. I did not ask about your protocols. Are you aware that 2,847 specific files exist? 3 seconds of silence. Patel said he may have reviewed materials associated with that general classification. Good, Raskin said quietly, because here's what I also have. He reached for document 2. Now pay close attention to what happens next. This is the moment everything changed. He pulled out an internal FBI archive summary and turned it toward the cameras. Category 1, witness transcripts, 412 files. Category 2, financial records, 691 files. Category 3, travel documentation, 83 files. Category 4, protected individual profiles, 941 files. Patel's left hand moved flat against the table edge, the kind of motion a body makes when a number lands with more weight than expected. 941 protected profiles, that means 941 names. That means 941 individuals whose identities are currently shielded from public view by the power of the United States government. And Raskin had not even turned to Bondi yet. The room had already shifted. Everyone present knew this was not going to end quietly. Director, Raskin continued, who authorized the 4th renewal of that court seal in the last 18 months? Patel cleared his throat. Renewal decisions are coordinated with the Department of Justice based on ongoing sensitivity assessments. Raskin wrote something down. And who at the Department of Justice coordinated that last assessment? He waited. Patel said coordination involves multiple offices, including the Office of the Attorney General. Raskin stopped writing. He looked up slowly. Then he turned to Pam Bondi. What Raskin placed on the table next made every attorney in that room reach for their phones. Document 3. A DOJ authorization form with a blue header marked Office of the Attorney General. On the signature line was a name and a date. He placed it face up without comment and let the cameras find it. This renewal authorization was signed 6 days after you took office, he said to Bondi, before your security clearances for the most sensitive FBI materials were complete. He looked at her. Did you sign this document? Bondi's jaw tightened just barely. Her lead attorney shifted in his chair. She kept her expression controlled. I signed numerous documents in the course of normal agency operations during my transition into office. Raskin leaned forward. Attorney General, you signed a renewal protecting 2,847 Epstein files. You signed it before you could legally access what you were protecting. That means someone told you to sign it before you could even read what it covered. He set the paper down. I am formally requesting a referral to the DOJ Inspector General on this signature. The next question did not come from a Democrat. It came from a Republican on the committee. A congressman from Ohio who leaned into his microphone and said quietly, Director Patel, how many of those 941 protected profiles are currently serving in any branch of the federal government? Patel did not answer. He could not, because the answer would require him to either lie under oath or confirm what everyone was now suspecting. But Raskin was not finished. He placed document 4 on the table, a privilege log, not classified, not sealed, Privilege logs are public court filings. They list what the government is withholding and why. Every sealed case has to file one. Raskin found it. The log ran 63 pages. Line 47 was highlighted. Document Batch EP347, Category 4, Protected Individual Profile, Redaction Justification, Executive Branch Sensitivity Designation, signed by Director Kash Patel, February 14th. He looked up. Director, you personally signed an Executive Branch Sensitivity Designation on a protected Epstein profile. What is the name on that profile? Patel's hands went flat on the table. Both of them pressed down. Congressman, Executive Branch Sensitivity Designations are applied based on legal counsel recommendations that are often coordinated with the White House counsel's office. Raskin did not move. White House counsel. He wrote that down slowly. So the White House is involved in protecting identities inside Jeffrey Epstein's files. That is your testimony under oath. 14 seconds of silence. You could hear the ventilation system. You could hear someone's phone vibrate on a desk. 14 seconds where no one breathed. Raskin turned to Bondi. Attorney General, same question. Is the White House involved in protecting those 2,847 files? Bondi looked at her attorney. Her attorney gave the smallest shake of his head. A micro movement. But it was there. She said nothing. What the classification code on batch EP347 revealed was devastating. This was not a routine national security classification. This was code EP, Executive Protection, a special designation. Raskin gave her 8 more seconds of silence. Then he addressed the chairman. I am asking this committee to subpoena the full contents of document batch EP347. He turned back to both witnesses. Director Patel, Attorney General Bondi, one final question. Does any person now serving in the executive branch of the United States government appear as a protected individual inside Jeffrey Epstein's sealed files? Yes or no? The ventilation system became audible. That is how quiet the room went, because everyone understood that this question could not be answered with a simple denial without opening the door to perjury charges if the files eventually leak. Patel's attorney rose. Mr. Chairman, Director Patel invokes his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Bondi's attorney stood at the same moment, a choreographed response. Attorney General Bondi also invokes the Fifth Amendment. The room erupted, gallery shouting, reporters yelling questions, the gavel coming down 4 times, each bang less effective than the last. Raskin gathered his documents without rushing. He did not look angry. He looked like someone who just received the exact answer he came for. He stepped back from the microphone and said 7 words before turning away. The record will reflect their response. Patel and Bondi sat side by side. Both had chosen silence over testimony. No answer, no explanation, nowhere left to hide. Watch Raskin's face in the moment after the dual Fifth Amendment. The particular stillness of someone whose plan just worked exactly as designed. He does not smirk, he does not celebrate. He just pauses, looks at the documents in his hand, and then at the witnesses. Within 34 minutes, the clip of that exchange reached 4.7 million views across all platforms. Legal analysts everywhere asked the same question. Why would both witnesses take the Fifth on the same Epstein question? The Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination. You only need it if answering the question truthfully would expose you to criminal liability. So what crime are they afraid of admitting? The answer is in the privilege log. Line 47, batch EP347, Category 4, Protected Individual Profile, White House Counsel Coordination, signed by Patel, 2 simultaneous Fifth Amendments, 2,847 files, 941 profiles, 1 question that could not be answered. Within 90 minutes, the White House press secretary issued a statement calling the hearing a political stunt and asserting that all appropriate protocols were followed regarding sealed materials. But they did not deny the existence of the files. They did not deny the involvement of the White House counsel's office. They attacked the process, not the substance. That is a tell. Within 3 hours, the DOJ Inspector General's office confirmed receipt of Raskin's referral regarding Bondi's signature. They announced a preliminary review would begin within 30 days. That is fast by IG standards. Within 6 hours, a sealed emergency motion was filed in the Southern District of New York by parties unknown seeking to maintain the seal on batch EP347. The motion argued that premature disclosure would compromise ongoing integrity measures. And within 24 hours, 2 career DOJ employees in the Records Division requested transfers to other departments. Both had been responsible for maintaining the privilege log. Both cited personal reasons. Both left without comment. This is how the system works when it is under pressure. People run, documents get moved, stories get coordinated. But the problem for them is that once a question is asked under oath in a congressional hearing, it cannot be unasked. Once a Fifth Amendment is invoked, it cannot be uninvoked. The record is permanent. Protected individual is not a witness. It is not a victim. It is someone whose identity the government has decided to shield from public disclosure. In the Epstein context, that means one of two things. Either they are a victim whose privacy needs protection, which everyone would support, or they are an associate whose exposure would cause political or social damage. The sheer number 941 suggests it is not just victims. That is far too many for the known victim pool. So who are they? The financial records category, 691 files, likely contains the money trail, where the funds came from, where they went, who facilitated the transactions. The travel documentation, 83 files, probably includes flight logs, hotel records, and transportation manifests. The witness transcripts, 412 files, contain the testimony of people who saw things, heard things, or participated in things. But the 941 protected profiles are the crown jewels. Those are the names. And someone in the White House counsel's office is coordinating their protection. That is what Patel admitted under oath before lawyering up. That is the admission that triggered the fifth. Because if the White House is involved, this is not a law enforcement matter anymore. This is a political protection operation. I am not saying every name on that list is guilty of a crime. I am saying the government has made a deliberate, repeated, multi-agency decision to keep those names secret. They renewed the seal 4 times in 18 months. They had the Attorney General sign off before she had clearance to read what she was signing. They had the FBI director personally sign an executive sensitivity designation. They coordinated with the White House counsel. This is not passive inertia. This is active concealment. And now, 2 of the key people involved have taken the fifth rather than answer a single question about it. The Attorney General of the United States, the chief law enforcement officer, cannot answer whether she knows if any current executive branch official appears in Epstein's files. The FBI director, the nation's top cop, cannot answer the same question. They would rather invoke the right against self-incrimination than say no. That means yes is the only answer that explains their silence. There are current executive branch officials in those files, and those officials have enough power to ensure the files stay sealed. We do not know yet who they are, but we know the mechanisms, we know the signatures, we know the timeline, and we know that within hours of these questions being asked, emergency motions were filed to keep everything quiet. The 2,847 files still exist, the seal still holds, and 2 people with the power to release them just chose silence over testimony. That is not the end of the story. That is the confirmation that the story is real.